Okay, I got a good one for you guys today. This is the Fezzari Timp Peak e-mountain bike with 170 millimeters of travel rolling on 29er wheels, front and rear. And let me tell you, it's one of the best handling e-bikes I've ever tried. Bold statement, huh? But it really is a well-sorted e-bike. They've done a lot of work and in the handling, in the geometry, and it looks good too. It doesn't look bulky. It looks like a small, compact frame. It kind of hides its travel, both in looks and in handling capability. And folks who know me know I rave about my favorite bike is my Specialized Lebo 150, 160 travel. It just handles really well. Just a dream on the trails. But it is an S-Works and it's $15,000. So this particular one, it's called the Timp Peak Elite and it is $74.99. So $74.99 gets you a lot of bike. This is another Fezzari trait. Really good, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. What's really remarkable about this bike is, you know, this is a medium. I'm not a tall person, but it is definitely well sorted. It's got my reach, 455 for the medium. The chainstays are 437, which is amazing for a 29er rear. And then I believe it's 77.5 and a 64-degree head angle. So everything is dialed, and get this, on my short stature, I get a 170 millimeter dropper post. And I think I got room. Maybe got 180 or 190, depending on how low I can go here. This is a P&W post, by the way. So super well sorted, and then the way they spec their suspension is good. This is a Zeb Ultimate and a RockShox Super Deluxe. And I'm not sure if you used the RockShox lately, but I think they leapfrogged Fox again. You know, Grip 2 and DHX2 are really good, but this one has achieved a new level of control and suppleness. Brakes are really good. TRP, I'm not sure if you use TRP again, but it is a hidden gem because it handles bikes and e-bikes really well. You know, very powerful Shimano level power, but with a little more modulation. The rotors are a little thicker, so they're very consistent throughout a huge downhill. And I think e-bikes need that really. And then we have SRAM GX, which is really as far as I want to go on an e-bike. I don't want to spend XX1 money on an e-bike. You want the GX that's a little burlier, you know, a little more positive on the shifting because it's always on power. But it does have access. So for $7,500, you get the access. You know, that nice shifting, very responsive. It's rolling on a Shimano EP8 motor with a 630 watt-hour battery. Touch points are really good. You know, you have a P&W dropper. We have an Ergon saddle, which is the best in the business right now, I think. And then these grips that are really, it's not soft, but it's got a really good control point for you. Room for a short water bottle for me here, even on this really compact triangle. So I love it. The other part of the Fezzari story is the value, you know, because they're consumer direct, they deliver pretty darn good value. This is $7,500, as I said. They have a 7,001, $69.99, and they have a $59.99. And I always tell people, just buy the cheap model and on any brand, and even if it's aluminum, and just replace the brakes, replace the suspension, and go for the cheap durable drivetrain. And then on the $59.99 model bike, they have it pretty well sorted too. You don't have to throw anything away. They have the same brakes, TRP DHR Evo brakes, and then they have SRAM Eagle NX, and then finally they have DVO Onyx E1 suspension. So they don't cheap out. You don't have to replace anything because the suspension, the brakes, and the drivetrain are well sorted even on their $59.99 model. So what do I like about the bike? Really, it's well sorted. You know, it feels small. It feels like a 150 bike when I sit on it It's compact. I'm not like propped up in the air. It's low to the ground, and then the suspension is controlled and supple. You know, it's agile. It's not light. It's a 50 pound bike, 51 pounds with pedals, but you know, it's supported. It's poppy for as big a suspension as it has. But this thing is really confidence inspiring. And then they have a new downhill pump track where, you know, this thing just pumps well too. It does everything well. You know, it's not an exaggeration. It's the best $7,500 bike that I've ridden, and it's one of the best handling ones that I've tried at any price. The details, you know, carbon frame, and it looks really good. You know, the industrial design is dialed, and that started with the LaSalle Peak. They have a really wide top tube here, and it hides your down tube. You know, so it's really well proportioned all around. I have a lot of room on the spacers. I can drop my handlebar a little bit more. You know, even with the 170, I've been riding it like this, and it's super good. Room for a water bottle. I don't think I can fit a tall one for the medium, but this is really all I need for an e-bike. And it's rolling with DHR2 Maxxis, DHR2 on the rear and Assegai in the front. And really, with an e-bike, Assegai is your friend. DHR makes it easy to climb and kind of swing the tail a little bit. And Assegai, not the fastest rolling, but it's what you want on an e-bike. What don't I like about the bike? Weaknesses? I would say the biggest one is the battery is not big. It's a 630 watt hour. And for a bike introduced this year, it's a little on the low side. For me, it's not an issue because I'm fairly light and I'm not the slowest guy in the group. I think it's more an issue if you're riding a group with a bunch of Levos, everyone's got a 700, and you want to keep up with them at the same power level as them. So it hasn't bothered me, but take your situation into account. Another one is I wish it came default with mullet. You know, I understand 29er gives you the speed. I prefer mullet, especially for a bike with this much travel. But the good news is you can buy it easily from Fezzari with a mullet. I'll show you the geometry. The geometry doesn't change a whole lot. It just, because it has a flip chip. So it's definitely mullet ready, meaning the seat angle and the head angle will just slacken by a little bit. And with a 77.5 seat angle, you have room for a little bit of slackening. It's not a big deal. And your chainstays are already 437, so that's basically same chainstay as most mullets out there. Very short already. Just being a stickler, you know, I would prefer that it was tested that way and all the numbers were made for that. Maybe make it 29er ready instead of mullet ready. The charging port is classic Darfon. It's got this chintzy little rubber cover. Was okay 2 years ago, but man, now it's getting old. And then this one, I'm not sure if you can see in the camera, is it's got the classic spoke magnet. The spoke magnet is not ideal. It works, and it has a much higher chance of getting knocked out. Super stoked because it is a beautiful bike, just like my LaSalle Peak, but with a little shuttle mode, so to speak. You know, 4,000 feet on the LaSalle, I'm good, I'm done. But with this bike, I can do 6,500 feet of climbing and descending in less time than the LaSalle. And I'm not giving much up in terms of handling, in terms of jumping, agility. It's all there. And I just got this beautiful wheel set from Atomic Wheels. Mullet, I'm gonna put this on here and see what it's all about. All right, thanks a ton.